Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you all for joining us in today's webinar session. My name is Dipka, and I'm the community manager at Analytics Vidya. Analytics Vidya is the leading community of data scientists in India and across globe. Today, we are hosting a webinar on the artificial intelligence, the secret sauce of logistics, presented by Ankit Jain. Ankit is a data scientist at Uber. I'm sure you all have used Uber app. At Uber, his primary focus is on forecasting and self-driving car business problems. Prior to Uber, he has worked in a variety of data science roles at Runner, Facebook, and other companies. He has a keen interest in teaching and has mentored over 300 students on data science. Let me just get Ankit on board.
Hello. Uh,
Hi, Ankit.
yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Uh, cool. So thanks, Deepika, for a wonderful introduction. And I think I'm really excited about logistics businesses in general, and would like to kind of share some of my insights on this new on-demand and scheduled delivery businesses and how AI can be used for those. So I'll just
Sure.
start.
Before we start, just a little housekeeping. So, guys,
Yeah.
if you have any questions during the session, please type them into the Q&A section of the Zoom platform. Also, I'd like to run a short poll. We have two questions. Just quickly fill in your answers, and then we're ready to go with the session. So, 80% of the audience has filled. We're just waiting for 20% more. We'll start. Just 10 more seconds. Guys, quickly check in your answers. Okay, so let's start. I'll share the results. So yeah, you can see the results, Ankit.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks.
Most of the audience comes from like less than 3 years of experience, and they have either no experience or very little experience in the logistics businesses. So definitely would be very fruitful for them. So shall we start the session?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, over to you.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
Okay. So let me share my screen. Um, okay. So yes, welcome everyone again, and thanks Deepika for taking care of the logistics stuff in the logistics presentation. So today I'm going to mainly talk about AI, the secret sauce of logistics. As you must have been aware of AI as a term and logistics as a term, how do we combine both of them together, and how it is used in the current businesses? So before that, I think Deepika gave a wonderful introduction. I'll just will run through very shortly So I'm currently data scientist at Uber. Previously, I was in India leading a data science team at Runner. Before that, I worked at Facebook, Bank of America, graduated from UC Berkeley and IIT Bombay. Outside of my work, I love running. So I'm a half marathon runner and try to spend time with my family. Okay. So, AI, which is artificial intelligence, is the new electricity, as told by Andrew Ng, and most of you are aware of Andrew Ng, who is the creator of the course, a very famous basic machine learning course on Coursera. So he says that as electricity transformed our lives few years before, same thing will happen with AI, and it will transform our lives for the better in the coming years to come. So yeah, currently the world is at an inflection point where AI will change a lot of things that we have seen over the past years. But today we are going to talk about logistic businesses, and like let's see what kind of logistic businesses we have. Okay, in general you have all heard of, so I've tried to tailor it to more of Indian context. So you have all heard of the businesses that I'm talking about, more or less. It's like on demand. Uber is a very popular one. You book a cab through Uber. Swiggy is the food delivery. Big Bucket is grocery delivery, and schedule is like more of e-commerce thing, in which you do Amazon, Flipkart, or say Snapdeal, where you place an order when the order gets delivered in 2 to 3 days, in which case it is scheduled. And then you have urban ladder, uh, yeah, and then you have urban ladder, which is more of uh, furniture delivery, and Big Basket also does scheduled delivery, right? So these are the kind of businesses we are talking about in today's presentation. And the thing is that AI will change all of this. So what is the objective of any logistics businesses, right? The objective of any logistics businesses is to kind of, when you book a cab, for example, when you book a cab, you want the driver to arrive very soon, right? The ETA, or the estimated time of arrival that the app shows, should be very minimal, right? And the next thing that you require is basically, whenever you call a cab, the cab should come. The driver should not cancel your trip always, and the cab should show up when it says ETA of 5 minutes. It should show up also in 5 minutes. So there's a reliability in the system, right? Now, if you think about it, one way to achieve these two objectives, or one brute force way to achieve these two objectives, is to have, say, a lot of cars on the roads. Like say Uber or Ola, for example, has a lot of cars on the roads. Okay, and there are like infinite number of cars. You'll achieve these two objectives, right? Because the car is available wherever you are, and there's reliability because there are a lot of cars available. So those two objectives are definitely achieved. But then how do you achieve these things with minimal cost? The more cars you put on the platform, or more cars you put on the road, the higher your costs are. So that's where AI comes into picture, that you want to minimize cost to achieve this to aim. How do you do it in a most cost effective manner? And that is powered through AI. So there is another part of AI which helps in like growth of these companies, but the once the companies had grown to a decent size, the AI is mainly helping to minimize costs. Okay. So what kind of data we collect? Before we go into any deeper, what kind of data we collect? So we collect mainly 2 3 types of data. One is like GPS location data. So all, whenever car is driving, or whenever a driver is driving, we collect the GPS points on where he. The second thing we collect is more of driver behavior data, in which how many trips this driver has done, when he logs into the platform, when he logs off to the platform, how many trips he cancels, where he logs into the platform. He mainly drives in like one particular area of Bangalore or one particular area of Mumbai. And then there is a customer behavior data, in which number of trips, how much trips a particular rider has taken, what are the request time, like he requests during peak hours, not peak hours, he is a commuter, he is a traveler, like how much money we have earned from him in terms of gross bookings, etc. So there are a lot of data of those kinds that is collected by these businesses, right? And the data size can grow very large, like the big ride hailing companies process more than 100 terabytes per day. I think that's also a very conservative number. The actual number can be very, very high from that 100 terabytes also. So you can imagine the amount of data is collected and amount of opportunity that this data is creating to optimize these businesses. And we'll go through some of the applications in the future slides to kind of understand what kind of applications that this data can be used for. So what are the AI problems basically? At a very high level, I'll tell some aspects. So forecasting. So any logistics business want to know how many trips will happen tomorrow, 1 week from today, 1 month from today, or even like next 30 minutes from now, right? The reason they want to know that is basically is to understand how do you place your drivers and riders, or how do you place your drivers, or how many drivers you onboard on the system based on the expected demand, right? So this is again ties back to the thing that you cannot have infinite cars in the system, right? You can only have limited cars. If you position the cars in a better manner, right, you can basically serve more rides. Now, forecasting is a, we call in data science or AI, a spatial temporal problem in on-demand businesses. Spatial is like just a geo, like how much demand is going to be in say Koramangala in Bangalore, and temporal is like how much demand of is going to be in Koramangala in Bangalore in next 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 year, right? So there's a space component and there's a time component, and that's why the thing gets a little more complicated, because generally there is only time component, but there is a space component also in logistics. And why we need this forecasting is some of the things I've mentioned, but I'll just make it more formally. So on the right hand side graph, you see basically the graph of San Francisco, and this is the demand center. So the red color shows that this is where the high demand is going to come from, and the blue segment says, or yellow segment says, that there is a less demand that is going to come from this area. Now this is not exactly what driver sees, but similar to something this like this a driver sees. So when driver sees this, right, that in the next half an hour demand is going to come from these areas, he can drive to those areas and get serve the demand, right? And that is based on from forecasting of trips. Now the use cases in this case are basically helping drivers drive to more heavy demand locations. As I said, another part is if I'm going to expect a 20% or 100% growth in the next 1 month or 2 months, how many drivers should I onboard to meet that expected demand, right? And third thing is like I need to know 1 year down the line how my business will look or how many trips I'll do, so that I can plan my budget accordingly or raise funding if required in the next 1 year, right? So you need that forecasting for sustainability of business, and it's very core to everything that any logistics business does. The second part is obviously you have a platform, you have an app which works basically, but you need it's a marketplace business at the end of the day. When I say marketplace, there are two sides of the thing of the business basically. One is the drivers who are driving, and riders or customers who are requesting the rides. Rides or basically orders or food or whatever you call it, right? So there are two sides of the coin in this business, and without those two sides you cannot have this business at all, right? Like either you have only drivers but no request coming in, you cannot have this business, and if you have only riders and no drivers, you cannot have the business also, right? So the most important thing that comes next is like, how do I get those riders and drivers on my platform? And that is similar to any other SaaS businesses or any e-commerce business also. People try to gain users on the platform. Now the gaining users on the platform is a twofold story. One is you can retain the existing users on the platform, or you can acquire new users on the platform, right? So for that, I'll just briefly touch what kind of models on how AI helps in retention and acquisition. So in retention, we call it the first thing any business would do is like churn modeling. Churn is basically defined as drivers or riders who are active on the platform, but they stopped using the platform after some time. Now you might have seen that you tried some app in the in say some tried some logistics app, some grocery delivery app or something like that. You didn't like it, you stopped using it, so you churned out of the system. So How do you know which user is going to churn out, or how do you determine what is the probability of each user's churn is through some statistical modeling or AI, basically. Now, why do you need to know that who is going to churn out of the platform? If you know who is going to churn out of the platform, number one thing you can do is send them some promotions like buy one get one or something like that, or three rides free. Send them some personalized promotions so that they come back on the platform to try it again. So even if they had bad experience in the first time, if they try more, they'll have a good stickiness on the platform. So you can channelize your promotion strategy based on the churn probability, right? The another part we for retention is lifetime value modeling. Now, like some users you want them to churn, some users are only there for offers, like only when something is free they come to the platform. If the free thing goes away, they come out to the platform, right? You want them to churn out, but you don't want people to churn out who are going to stick to the platform, either your platform or competitors platform, right? How do you make them stick to your platform, or how do you determine those users which are more valuable to you than others is through lifetime value modeling. So people try to do, basically try to understand how much money I'm going to earn from this particular user in future. So they try to predict that using basic supervised learning modeling to understand like how much of lifetime value I can earn from a particular kind of users. So the more I earn, the more I want that user to stay on my platform. So that is for retention. For acquisition is pretty straightforward in logistics business as other businesses. Is you have to do some marketing analytics. You have to place some ads on Facebook. You have to place some ads on Google, uh, and you have to be sure that basically whatever you're doing is basically getting you the right users, right? So you only want to acquire the high value customers, like people in Kormangla, Bangalore always stay on the platform, for example. Then you want to do more marketing in Kormangla as opposed to other parts of the Bangalore, right? So basically you optimize your marketing budget using AI again to acquire only the high value customers, and you just don't sprinkle your budget everywhere. So that is again a cost reduction part on acquiring users that AI can help in. Moving forward, another very interesting thing that happens in particularly on-demand businesses, I would call, is loyalty modeling. Most of you would have two apps generally, one Uber and one Ola, right? In India, and whenever you are trying to request a ride, you check the prices on Uber and check the prices on Ola, and whichever is minimum or whichever you feel is relevant to you based on ETA and price, you choose one of them, right? Now obviously you are, and if you didn't choose Uber, you choose Ola, then Uber loses a ride. And if you choose Uber over Ola, then Ola loses a ride, right? So both these companies, or basically any logistics business in that, for that matter, would like to identify which users are loyal to them and which users like compare the prices and those kind of things on competitor. Now the main reason that is required is the demand that is served by Ola won't be served by other competitor, right? And in that case, that is the easiest demand to capture. Like, so somebody who is not using any ride sharing app or any grocery delivery app, it's hard to get them order one thing. But if somebody is using something but of competitor, it's very easy to switch them. And that is a strategy people use to kind of make people switch from Ola to Uber, Uber to Ola, or other grocery delivery apps. But how can AI help in understanding who is loyal, who is not loyal? I'll not go into the details because those I cannot cover because of confidentiality. But the one basic way would be, like, if you see the graph on the right, and on the x-axis you see day of the week, and on the y-axis you see number of trips, and this is say driver 1 and driver 2. Okay. So in driver 1 you see there is a lot of variance in the trips, right? On first day he did 30 trips, then it did 90 trips, then it 20 trips, and something like that, right? So drivers also use this both the apps of Ola and Uber, right? And then another driver which pretty much does 60 trips over the course of his time. right? And there is not much variance on this. So given these two, you would expect that probably the probability of driver one to be using both the apps is higher as compared to driver two, which is like almost consistent on the platform, right? Now this can be more enhanced through complex modeling, deep learning modeling, and everything else, but the overall idea remains the same, that you can measure the variance and understand who is more loyal to your platform and who is not loyal to the platform. Now once you know who is more loyal and who is not more loyal, you can basically run again some promotion strategy to get them move from, say, Ola to Uber or Uber to Ola, right? And this is very important because it can help you capture the demand with minimal cost again. And these are the techniques that people use to kind of move people away from one platform to another, and AI is like playing a major role in that. So this is the very famous search pricing or dynamic pricing algorithm that Uber uses, or famous or infamous, I should call it, that dynamic pricing algorithm that Uber or any other like Ola uses. Basically, some people like it a lot, some people dislike it a lot. Um, but what does dynamic pricing mean? So dynamic pricing is nothing but based on demand and supply, you change your price. That's a simple definition of it. Now you would think this is more of an economics problem than data science problem, but at the same time, the thing that is taken into account is how much should I say there is a search pricing, how much should I search, right? Should I search 1.2x in Kormangla? Should I search 2x in Bannerghatta for the same demand supply gap? How much should I search, right? So first component is obviously demand supply gap. If the demand is high, supply is lower, price should surge. But how much to search is where AI helps a lot in terms of understanding the elasticity of customers on the platform. So think about it. So think about it. Two things that depends on is like, if you are stuck in a hurricane tomorrow, even if the price surges to 10x, you'll probably pay it because it's question of life and death, right? But if you're coming out of your friend's house and you're requesting a ride, you don't want to pay 10x, right? You can still wait at your friend's house for some more time, and make sure the price goes down, right? So your elasticity or your willingness to pay more depends on the context of when and where you're ordering from. Number one. Number two, what it depends on is also like some of the things, general things it depends on, like affluence of the market, right? If you go to for example, slum area, or people who are not who don't have capacity to pay so much, right? And you search 10x, you'll not get any rights, right? Um, but if you go to a very more affluent area, right, and then people might be ready to pay also, right? So I'm not implying that Uber uses something like this or exactly doing this, but I'm saying these are the ideas that people use in general logistics businesses, and Uber's algorithm can be entirely different from this. So these are the ideas that dynamic pricing uses. The next is dispatch and ETA. Like when you request a ride or when you request food, or a grocery or anything like that, who should be given your order, right? The one crude way to think is whoever is nearest, give it to him, right? But think about the overall aim of any ride sharing business or any logistics business. The overall aim is not only to deliver it fastest, but so once you are, say, particularly for ride sharing, when not only to get the car to you fastest, but also when you're in the car, you should have a great experience. And the only way to have great experience is basically you have a tuning with drivers, right? If your driver and rider are very different, one is like not good, one is good, whatever the way to decide good and bad is, right, or they're not compatible, the rider will not have good experience or driver will not have good experience. If they don't have good experience, they churn out of the platform, and that is a loss on the long term. But in the short term, obviously you gain something, but in the long term it's a complete loss. So people have to think on that direction. So yes, ETA is important, and estimating ETA is itself a more of AI problem, in which you kind of consider routes on what what is it, current traffic information, what are the segments that somebody will route to, what are the road segments somebody will route to reach the customer. So there is a distance and traffic conditions factor, which is ETA, but there can be other factors like what is the rating of driver, what is the rating of rider. Then another point is like if it's say 10 p.m. in the night and driver's home is in say Koramangala, for example, uh, and you are asking him to go to say Bannerghatta or something like that in Bangalore or very far away from his home location, he might cancel the trip also, right? So you don't want cancellations. You want driver and rider to have great experience, and you want a minimum ETA overall. And that is why the dispatch algorithm, it becomes a very crucial to the success of business of logistics. And AI pretty much helps in deciding whom to dispatch tomorrow, or for the next ride, or for the next order. So whenever you request ride next time, think about it, there is a lot of going on to match you with the particular driver, so that you can have a best experience in the cab going forward. Now another part of is like requesting like Uber Go, Uber X, or Ola is very easy, but then when it comes to Ola Share, Uber Pool, or something like pooling of orders, it becomes way more complicated. So for you to have great experience, and we hear these complaints a lot, right? Like for you to have great experience, your pool ride or shared Ola Share ride should not like reroute so much that you reach your destination late, right? The share ride dispatch is again whom to dispatch, and that's again an AI problem. And like some of the ideas could be basically like the brute force way to think about it is like your destination should be close to the another rider's destination, or pick up or drop off, basically both. uh, and the second part to think about it, like if one rider is going in some direction, how much of overlap with your thing is, like if there's more than 70% overlap in the exact routes, then you should be paired. If it's less than 70%, I'm just giving out a number, uh, if it's less than 70%, you should not be matched, right? So then deciding on that number, how much percentage overlap should be, how close or how far off the pickup and drop off location could be, based on that a pool ride or a Ola share ride will be dispatched to you, right? So in that case, the shared ride dispatch is a more complicated version of the natural dispatch. And again, in this case also, the AI algorithms help to decide as to where somebody should be picked, which driver should be dispatched for a particular rider. And finally, we have the self-driving cars, which everybody hears about a lot. So I just picked up this visualization from Uber's site, and I think we recently released it also. So self-driving cars is definitely the most challenging AI problem that the industry is facing today. Um, the amount of data we are dealing with is just too high. I think there are sensors on, as you know, there are sensors on self-driving cars, and then each hour, I think more than 25 or 30 gigs of data is recorded, more or less, on from those sensors in general, like not at Uber, but in general, from every other company who's trying to build self-driving cars. So 30 gigs of data is analyzed or is recorded on a per hourly basis, and the self-driving car has to make a decision always like in a split second, because it's very near death experiences. If it doesn't do it, then it comes down to the fact that how do you process that bigger data to make decisions, right? And there are three major use cases of AI in self-driving cars. I'll just briefly highlight what self-driving car will do. So first thing that you think about it, any car needs to do is to understand what is around it, right? What is going on around it? Like there are pedestrians walking, there is a truck coming in front of you, there is a traffic signal, right? It needs to understand from the cameras or sensor data what is going on in front of him, right? So that is first problem of perception. And this in data science world or AI world, it is known as computer vision. in which a lot of deep learning research today is there, and and that is at the forefront of the technology that you can think of in computer vision. So perception is a one major problem. The once you perceive, okay, there is a traffic light, there's a pedestrian crossing, there are trees around, there's a lane, and everything, right? You need to localize also yourself. So you have perceived what is there, but where are you located in that whole scenario of the world that you have generated, right? You need to localize yourself. Again, that's an AI problem, and for localization, and so you need to localize yourself. Number one. Number two is basically you need to predict what the next state of the system would be. For example, you detect that the car is changing lanes in the first frame of the video, for example, right? Then in the next frame, the car is going to come in front of you, like the car ahead of you is changing lanes, and you should be able to predict that car will come in front of you. Then you have to apply brake today or right now to make sure that in the next second you don't hit that car. So you have to make an efficient prediction of the state which we are going to be. And the algorithms that I use for that is there are many, but the basic are Kalman filters, which I'll not go into details, but not in the interest of this presentation. So we perceive what is there, we also localize ourselves, where are we, then we predict what is the state of the system going to be, and based on that prediction we either take an action, which is motion planning, like either apply a brake or accelerate or stop or whatever it is based on what is going to happen. And so I've simplified it at very high level, or a 10,000 feet view, but each of them is like very involved problem for self-driving, and still the research is going on, and will continue for some time till we get self-driving cars in the city, basically. Okay, some more things, basically some extra things that people talk about is, one is fraud. Fraud is very common in all e-commerce industries or all internet industries, internet businesses I would call it, and payment fraud is a major one. I'll not go into details of payment fraud because it's similar to what you have seen in other businesses or heard about in other businesses. There is something called as collusion fraud, particularly happens in food delivery businesses, in which rider and driver collude with each other, um, collude with each other to kind of driver rider or driver restaurant to make, yeah, to make fake orders so that they can earn more incentives and everything like that. Okay, and there are ways to detect it, and that's one part of the data science job that people do in fraud data science. Another interesting thing that comes out of logistics business is driver safety or rider safety, or driver safety score, right? Now think about it. You can use the mobile data to determine how well the driver is driving, right? You have GPS accelerometers in the data, in the phone, in the smartphone today, gyroscopes and everything, and you can determine how safely the driver, like he's doing braking or not at appropriate time, is he speeding a lot. So you can record all those data and analyze to confirm what is the safety score of a particular driver. If the driver is not driving safely, you can bar it from the platform. Also, you can also think of as a safety use case for, say, a lady is requesting a ride at 4 a.m. in the night. You should be dispatching, ideally you should be dispatching a driver with a higher safety score, or probably if you have a lady driver, you can actually dispatch a lady driver to match lady rider in the late night. So these are this safety is very important to build the trust on the platform, and there has to be steps taken in to ensure that safety of riders and drivers on the platform, uh, and 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 that is core of what AI can help in kind of ascertaining safety of a particular ride. Right, all rides should be safe. That is the motto, and safety is paramount to all the logistics businesses. And the third thing you must have seen in your Uber apps or probably Ola apps also, or others, like destination prediction. Depending on, so suppose you are standing in your office in the evening, and most of the time you take the cab to home, the home will automatically be selected, or that will be your uh, frequent destination, that given an option, so that minimizes the time of entering the destination, requesting the ride and everything. So it just predicts the destination based on current location and the time of the day. That adds to the better user experience. Or let's say it's Friday and and the app knows that every Friday you go to this bar to meet your friend, so it can suggest those also based on your history. So these are the kind of applications that in logistics businesses I wanted to highlight. Let me get hold of the time before we jump into some case study. Uh, and let me see how many Q&A we have. Okay. Okay. Um, so I can take some questions right now before we go into the case study. So case study is more of, I've highlighted, if we have some time we can discuss this, but we can also do. Okay, so let me take some questions first. Uh, somebody asks, won't using high surcharge in scenarios like uh, um, let me see. Okay, so won't high surcharge like heavy rain and hurricane be exploiting the customers? Yes, it doesn't. From from a point of view of basically exploitation, it doesn't make sense to kind of have a very high hurricane. And Uber, I think, and all the ride sharing companies have faced a good amount of backlash in some way or other. So the AI system is not ethical generally, right? You have to make it ethical, and that is one part, that we should not exploit the customers. We are here to serve customers better and not exploit them, right? uh, that is the answer to your question. um, I'm trying to understand. So hey Deepika, can I basically see your question
Yeah, Ankit.
as compared to the chat? Okay, cool. So
Yeah,
I'll
Ankit,
take.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks Deepika. um, so I'll try to answer some more questions before
Can you see
how.
the questions from the Q&A?
Yeah, I'm seeing the questions on the Q&A.
Okay.
Okay. um so yes, let's see, how does AI help the growth of the company? So basically AI, so Varun asked basically how AI can help growth of the company. AI can help a lot in the growth of the company. Basically growth of the company depends like on more retention, basically. And if you can find out ways to retain customers or acquire high value customers, both can help you help growth in the overall business. And that is one way that you kind of help grow business to the next level, where to make someone who is just an active user to become a power user, by help of using understanding what constitutes a power user and how can you shift just users who are just joined into a power user. Okay, cool. So I'm taking some questions one by one, and it will take some time to get to all of the questions. So I'm a mechanical engineer. I started learning data science. I'm planning to do MS in data analytics. Will it be useful to enter into data science field with degree? So uh, to answer your question, uh, degree in data science helps to an extent, but not completely required. What is required is your knowledge on basically projects that you have done. So data science is a very applied field. Unless you're becoming a researcher, that's a different case, but data science is generally very applied field. In applied field, more important is like how do you kind of connect the dots and think about the problems in terms of data problems. Then probably apply only machine learning. Machine learning also is important, but it comes at very last of the thing. But first comes the mapping of business problems to data problems. So having a degree in data analytics, yes, will help, but it's not the mandatory thing that is required in data science. Uh, Okay. LTV modeling, what are the parameters that can be used in case of light hailing model? So LTV modeling, I cannot disclose all the details, but from my understanding, basically what you can think of is all the engagement features. So people who are like taking the rides every day, for example, right, are higher LTV users because they are just using it more, or people who are always coming back on some particular cycle of frequency, like every weekend somebody takes a ride, that's also a high value customer. The who is not a high value customers, who probably churns out of the system, doesn't use it for a long time, then probably comes back, or something like that. So the parameter you should use is like where the users come from, basically static parameters, like what is, if you have demographics information, if you have other information of which location and everything else, so you should use that. Another part is how they're engaged on the platform, right? How many, like for drivers, it would be how many cancellations he has done, how many surge trips he has done, how many cash trips he has done. So those kind of things. Okay. Um, do you mean Uber snoops into my mobile to search which apps? No, Uber doesn't. So I think that's a very good question. Do you mean Uber snoops into my mobile to see which apps I have? No, and never. So Uber or any other company, I think, don't have any intentions to kind of use see what apps you have. When I was talking about loyalty modeling, is user Uber might use, or any other logistic business might use their own data to determine some probability of what you're doing. Okay. Uh, why is this AI? Isn't this time series modeling or data modeling or sequence modeling or machine learning on historical data? Why it is intelligent if it is working on past current data, if it is not understanding, abstracting, comprehending the underlying concepts? Okay, so that's a very valid question. Artificial intelligence. So basically, when we talk about artificial intelligence, it is the system is intelligent enough to make sure what will, to understand what is going to happen and correct itself on the manner that is required for the business. That's what the definition of AI is. Now time series modeling can also be AI, or a statistical modeling can also be AI, because it's making the system artificially intelligent at the end of the day. Now, one of the things I want to point out is basically what machines are good at and what humans are good at, to this extent. So machines are always good at, given a set of data, what is going to happen, or learn complex relationships from the data, right? If machine has not seen anything before, it just cannot learn it on its own. The only way machine can learn something is basically seeing a lots and lots of example of data. What humans are good at is like connecting disparate data sources in the to the extent that to bring novel applications. Like think about when the TV was discovered, or when any other new invention or phone was discovered, or anything like that. No data was available, but humans are very good at conducting, like developing novel things as of today. And AI is very good, or machine learning or machine is very good from a historical perspective, right? What has happened, and and use that information to kind of predict what is going to happen. So that is a limitation always. Okay. So how would you do churn modeling? Farooq asks, predictive modeling or hypothesis testing. So churn modeling, you can, high level, you can think of basically that you can, from historical data, you know which drivers have churned out of the platform, and which drivers are remaining on the platform, right? So you can use that historical data to kind of understand that if a driver is churning out of the platform, right, what are the characteristics of that driver? If the driver is remaining on the platform, what are the characteristics? By characteristics, I mean the engagement features, like how many orders he has done in the last 1 month, how many orders he has done in lifetime, how many cancellations he has done, how much money he has earned, what is earning on a week by week or a monthly basis, what is the trend of those earnings, like is the trend going up or going down? So if the trend is going down, you might expect that he'll churn out of the system in the future. If the trend is going up, you might expect that he'll engage more in the future also. And then there are other parts that more of experience metric that you can call it, like how many customer service tickets he has filed. If the driver is not having a great experience, he'll try to file more of customer service tickets, and which might affect his churn behavior in the future. So you can use that all of those signals combined in a supervised learning problem, and then probably predict whether he's going to churn or not. Right. Okay. Why is this? So that's done. Okay. How does the rating of user or driver affect businesses, and analytics goes behind it? So rating of user or driver. So somebody who's getting consistently bad rating for a driver, it's very straightforward that if you analyze it and consistently bad rating, you would expect that the driver is not doing a good job, and you can ban it from a platform. That's one way. Another way is like if ratings of driver is high and rider is low or something like that, or they are not compatible with each other, they won't be matched in a dispatch. They might not be matched in the dispatch algorithm, right? Another part is so not only for every rider gives rating to driver gives also rating to the rider. So if the driver is consistently giving bad rating to riders, you can expect uh, you can expect that driver is not having a good experience on the platform. Like every time a rider comes, he's not happy and he's giving bad rating to them. So if the driver is consistently having bad experience, he might churn out of the platform. So that's another analytics that goes into what is the rating of driver, right? And what conditions ratings goes bad, what conditions rating goes good, what is good, like is 5-star always good, or no, 5-star is definitely good, is 4-star good enough? Like those kind of things are also kind of analyzed and understood on how ratings affect, because ratings are taken very seriously in the system. Mm. Okay, that's done. Okay. So what are the which are the popular frameworks you use? So I don't know what you mean by frameworks, Aman, but more or less we code on Python or R as when the application is. But if you are deploying the model in production, we mainly use Python. We have to use a lot of big data stuff, basically PySpark a lot, because the data we have is just too huge and cannot be done with just a simple Python or pandas you call it. So that is the one thing that is heavily used. For deep learning, there are different obviously use cases and different applications, but PyTorch is one of the popular ones in the company today, and also TensorFlow that is being used right now for deep learning. And for databases, we have like most, like as usual, NoSQL databases like Hive to store the big data that we have. Okay. What is the platform most used today to deploy ML models production at this scale? So those are some in-house platforms, I would call it, and mm, yeah. So I cannot discuss more than this. So that is what it is. So what languages? I think already answered. How do, how do you take care of local regulation through AI? I think local regulation should not be taken care with AI ideally. And right now, I think we try to deal with authorities, in my opinion. But I know only limited understanding on the local regulation. But I think we try to deal with local authorities and don't try to use AI where it should not be kind of used. How accurate ETA prediction provides in general logistics company? Uh, so ETA prediction is always a problem, ongoing problem. Basically, so think about it. What ETA prediction is trying to do is map your entire physical world into a like virtual world of basically the maps you see, right? And for ETA prediction to be getting right, you have to understand what kind of routes, what kind of traffic is there. Like is there, say for example, you predict an ETA of 3 minutes and an ambulance comes, everything stops, right? So those kind of things always be there, but at the same time it is getting better and better. So the better you are able to estimate the traffic information, and suppose you have 10 routes to come to the same place, in one of the routes you have very high confidence on the ETA as compared to others, and that is the smallest also, then probably you dispatch on those routes. And there can be other choices that the two routes are similar in terms of distance and like 100-meter or 200-meter maximum, but the ETA is very confident, you dispatch to that route. So ETA is an ongoing problem, and there are several ways to solve it, but yes, it's still can be wrong. Even after doing so much, things can go anywhere. Okay. What is the what is the proportion of structured data to unstructured data in this business? I mean, how much time, effort proportionally required for data cleansing compared to model building? Hope I'm clear. So basically, right now, our data engineering team does a good job in cleaning the data and presenting in a format that can be used. And right now, um, in logistics businesses, yes, unstructured data is mainly images, I would call it, and when anything that has to do with images, particularly self-driving or anything else, are kind of unstructured data. Another part of unstructured data is the customer service text that you get. Basically, people write complaints to customer service. That is again an NLP problem, in which you need to kind of analyze the unstructured data. Rest of the data can be structured, basically all the trips data, all the GPS location data can be structured in a manner that can be easily used. So right now, I still spend a lot of time data cleaning, not because data is bad, but because we want to get the data in the right format so that it can be used for modeling. So is AI really secured and safe based on what happened in Facebook? So I cannot comment on what happened in Facebook. AI is secure and safe. I think that's more of opinionated thing right now, and nobody knows the right answer because we have only seen so much of AI. So yeah, definitely, if you're doing a recommendation systems on Facebook, it is not harmful at all. But some cases, like self-driving cars, people have to take care on how much AI can do and how much of human in the loop control is required, right? And it's secure and safe is still a question of the what application you are using it for. Um, Is it possible to get the same driver with whom we have drive earlier in AI if you have a good experience with him? Yes, it is possible. And that is one of the things also that can be used. I'll try to answer some basically there are many questions on careers of data science. I'll try to answer one or two questions on those. Is coding very important for being data science? Yes, coding is very important, but and sometimes not to the extent of being a software engineer, but without code, writing code, you cannot convert your ideas that you have, the awesome ideas you might have, to convert into something very tangible. So coding needs to be learned to the extent that you can code up your ideas into something tangible model. In some companies, the roles are very differed. It might be required to the software engineer level, but in some companies or some roles, it might not be required of software engineer level. But yes, coding is important, I would say. Um, as how Uber, um, how do you differentiate the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning? So in my opinion, they're all similar to each other a lot. Artificial intelligence, we call artificial intelligence because press calls it artificial intelligence, I would say. But they are all kind of machine learning and deep learning are all rolling up to some artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence definition is basically a computer or your machine is intelligent enough to take decisions, right? You don't have to take decisions. A machine is intelligent enough to take decisions. And machine learning is a way to reach there. Deep learning is another class of machine learning, I would say, which is mainly good for unstructured data or time series data sometimes, to achieve the similar thing, right? Um, I think there are three terms flowing around, but overall, I think the machine learning and deep learning are just subset of artificial intelligence, and even deep learning, I would call it as a subset of machine learning. Mm. So, what is the most preferred language for data science? R or I think Python? You are asking. I would say going forward, R. So this is what I call. So language is generally immaterial to data science. However, when you're deploying a production scale system, Python is much better as a language than R. But for converting your ideas into models, language is not so much important. In fact, like this is what I generally say, that if you are from a non-tech background, in terms of non-coding background, you might find it easier to pick up R than Python. And if you're already a software engineer, you'll always find easier to kind of pick up Python over R, kind of thing. So choose your thing. It is nothing is hard and nothing is good or bad. You can always learn those languages, but in generally, when you're deploying a production grade systems, Python is preferred. Mm. Okay, I'll take 2-3 more questions. Okay, how many people with experience switch to analytics industry where they look, or only people with relevant industry? So I think analytics industry is growing a lot, and you will see that lot of roles. So technology industry is the first industry which kind of accepted machine learning or something like data science. But any other industry right now, healthcare, manufacturing, and pharma, or whatever it is, kind of are accepting data science as a valid thing to kind of optimize for next level of businesses, right? And to that extent, the roles are many, and people look for relevant experience, yes, but at the same time, because the roles are many, and if you have some basic understanding, you might you might find it easy to land a role in this data science industry as compared to any other industry which you are not experienced with. So how many people, it's like depend on person to person on a case by case basis, but I think there are a lot of people who generally switch to analytics industry from the different business parts or from a software engineering part also. How should one enter the field of data analytics as a fresher? What you should do as a fresher is like learn the basic stats, learn basic programming, either R or Python, pick your language, and do some projects. Learn some machine learning also, but do some projects which you can show to people, and projects which people can relate to, that the stuff of data analytics. And once you show these projects to a particular hiring manager or something, he'll be able ready to accept that. So because that's what people are looking for when they're looking for a fresher hire, is like how much of applied thing you can do in terms of projects. Cool. So SQL or no SQL? Okay, so for big data, SQL doesn't work well. So obviously no SQL. So no SQL is mainly Hive. So the disadvantage is SQL has much more flexibility than Hive or others, or Hadoop, basically whatever you call it. But at the same time, they can store a lot more data also. So I think that's it. I think there is some alarm also going on here. Deepika, you can take over, and I think we are finishing up the ending of the session. But anyways, thanks a lot, guys, and this was really helpful. The questions were very insightful, and I really enjoyed presenting to you guys. I'll share this presentation also, and you can take a look and contact me offline if anything is required. And thanks, Analytics Vidya, again for having me in this presentation.
Thanks, Ankit. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Thanks everyone. Till the next time we see you here.